My career has taken me all over Europe. Despite being an Australian country boy, I came to Amsterdam to work at the age of 21. I ended up moving to Switzerland and working right across Eastern and Central Europe, where I saw the effects of a long Soviet era, and I saw the transformation that was occurring across Eastern and Central Europe. And so I was delighted to have the opportunity to invest in a project in Bosnia and Herzegovina. My background is investment banking and commodity trading. I worked for R&B Resources, which was the specialist resource investment arm for First Rand Bank in South Africa. That fund ran for 15 years. It had an average annual return of 42%. I left there in 2013 to go into the dangerous world of junior mining and started working with a small uranium deposit in Turkey, which we sold in 2015 to an American producer. In 2016, however, this project was introduced to me as being a potential project for sale. I went over there in December 2016 and put my boots on the ground and started to look at what the potential of this project was. There was no drill core that we could rely on. There was only historical records that needed to be verified, and the only way we could verify them was actually putting holes in the ground to make sure that what the Yugoslavs had said were there back in the 1980s were actually there. So we acquired the Bosnian subsidiary company for cash. Every single share that's been issued in Adriatic Metals has been paid for by cash. No management or board have ever received a free share for their involvement in the company. We accumulated a reasonable amount of data that we got out of archive boxes that were stored in Belgrade, in Sarajevo, some in Ljubljana. We digitized that and we completed the acquisition of the Bosnian company in February 2017. By April 2017, we had a drill rig on the ground and we were doing that confirmation drilling. But today I really want to talk about the period between the acquisition of that Bosnian subsidiary and where we are today, and more specifically what we're going to be doing over the next 12 months. Bosnia and Herzegovina is at the heart of Central Europe. It has a checkered history, to say the least. I think everybody here would be aware of the conflict that occurred in the early 1990s. Prior to that, as part of the Yugoslavia, it had a flourishing mining industry. It has fantastic infrastructure. It has a railway line that comes almost directly to our project site. That railway line connects into deep water ports. It connects into the Central European rail network. We have two projects involved in our company. One is called Rupice and the other is Via Vacha. Via Vacha was an existing operating open pit mine, mining lead, zinc and barite in the mid-1980s right through to the early 1990s. Because of the conflict, Via Vacha was shut down. In the ensuing period, the plant has been heavily vandalised, but the old open pit is still there. And we've gone in and drilled Via Vacha to confirm the historical resources and have identified that mineralisation is open and from surface. In addition to Via Vacha, there was another prospect that was being explored at the time of the commencement of hostilities in Bosnia called Rupice. It's about 12 kilometres away from Via Vacha in quite steep terrain. And this is what really caught my eye when we decided to acquire the concessions here in Bosnia and set up Adriatic Metals, was that we'd seen some of the data that the Yugoslavs had prepared. But what we noticed was that they hadn't really tested anything for precious metals. So typically where you see, they tested everything for zinc and for lead and for barite, but they hadn't tested for gold, silver or copper. And the reason why, we now understand, is that back in the 70s and early 80s in the former Yugoslavia, if you were told by Belgrade or by Moscow to go and find lead and zinc, you went and found lead and zinc. even though logically you would test for silver and potentially gold as well. So our focus has been trying to incorporate precious metals and copper into our resources, and so far we've been quite successful in doing that. But I just want to talk about Bosnia as a jurisdiction, because I would doubt that anybody in this room has an investment in a mine in Bosnia. Now, Bosnia actually sits on the Tethyan mineral belt, which is one of the most exciting mineral belts in Europe. It extends from Central Europe all the way down to Turkey. We've seen some of the world's biggest projects along the Tethyan mineral belt, including Nevsun's Timok project, Rio Tinto's Jadar project, are all massive mining projects in that region. Bosnia itself has a mining industry. It's primarily around coal, but another British company called Mineko have 2 lead zinc mines in Bosnia. But what we are seeing in Bosnia as a jurisdiction is a massive increase in foreign direct investment. For 25 years, Bosnia has been the land that Europe forgot. The scars of that conflict live large in everyone's memory, but what we are now seeing is a huge amount of investment coming into the country. We're seeing money coming in from the Middle East, from the EU, who are building roads, new railway lines, hydroelectric dams, power plants. We're seeing the beautiful architecture of Sarajevo, which is rich in Austro-Hungarian history, be transformed with large skyscrapers. We're seeing new cableways being built up to new ski resorts that are being built. The tourism industry is expanding. If you go to Bosnia, you will be hard pushed to find anyone under the age of 40 who does not speak English. Kids are learning to speak English at the age of 3. They are preparing themselves for a generational change where they want to immerse themselves right into the heart of European economy and European culture. From a mining perspective, their system is different, but it's very, very clear and transparent as to what you need to do to be able to develop a mining country. However, the reason why, unlike Serbia, where we've seen a huge amount of juniors from Canada and Australia and the UK go in there and pick up exploration licenses and actively exploring country, is that the Bosnian system actually requires you to make a reasonably high payment in advance for a mining concession. So it works out at about 10 cents per square metre. Now, that may not sound very much, but if you're doing greenfield exploration and you want 100 square kilometres of tenement, you're going to be forking out a substantial amount of money, and the junior mining industry cannot afford to do it. It cannot put out that kind of money in advance of having any raw data. Where Adriatic Metals differs is that when we acquired our concession through that acquisition, we acquired it with freehold land and buildings. And in one of those old buildings, which was an old Soviet-style admin block that had they had broken windows and all of the radiators had been ripped out and vandalised, we found thousands of typed up exploration reports that covered the whole of Bosnia and Herzegovina. We found drill hole logs, we found metallurgical test work, we found pulps from samples that had been done, and we're able to put together a really good portfolio and database of information about the projects, not only just the ones that we had at Rupice and Vijevača, but projects that we also knew were in that region as well. So at the moment, what Adriatic is doing is it's systematically evaluating the potential of these projects. Rupice, which is our flagship project, is extremely high grade. When I went in there in August 2017 and put the first confirmatory drill hole in, we hit 64 metres at 33% zinc. Mineralisation to date, despite the fact that we've drilled it extensively over 2017 and 18, remains open, and we are expecting to put a maiden resource on the project this summer. Vijevača, the old open pit, has got fantastic infrastructure. It's got power, it's got rail nearby, it's got roads. The pit is there, ready to be mined again. The plant area that has largely been vandalised and destroyed can be levelled. There is an existing tailings facility. And we also have another project to the south of our Rupice licence, which we call Jurassic Brestic, or Brestic Jurassic. We believe this is where the biggest growth in the company is going to come from, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about why that is. In the second half of last year, having drilled out Rupice extensively and having had time now to analyse those thousands of reports and documents that we recovered from our building in Via Vacca, we had made a decision to extend our licence boundaries. And in doing so, had to write a fairly large cheque to the Bosnian government. But we now have a whole pipeline of projects that we're looking to develop. So whilst Rupice and Via Vacca are our core focus, we're also very excited about what we're seeing at Jurassic Brestic. And near Via Vacca, we have 3 new projects which we're going to do more exploration on this year, as well as a fantastic anomaly called Bodovica, which is just to the southwest of the existing Rupice mineralisation. But a little bit more about Adriatic. We listed on the ASX in May last year at 20 cents a share. We had a pre-money valuation of 16.5 million Australian dollars. We raised $10 million and we started drilling literally straight after the IPO with the funds we've received. We have Sandfire Resources as a cornerstone shareholder, and we have a technical collaboration agreement with them where we utilise their expertise in helping to understand this very exciting project that we have. Most importantly, our directors and management own 30% of this company. I am the largest shareholder. All of us have paid cash for our shares, and we are 100% aligned with our shareholders to continue to see value growth. But we run our company like it's a junior. We run it like it's a 5 million market cap company, which means we do not waste our money. For every dollar we've spent on this project today, we have added over $18 of value for our shareholders. That's a phenomenal statistic and one that we're going to continue. We are a UK PLC. We do intend at some point, we listed on the ASX because it's a good nurturing market, but we do intend at some point to come back and list on the main board in London. Our management of the company have been hand-picked to be a good core team to take an asset from exploration through development. Our CEO, Geraint Harris, who apologises he can't be here today, is a mining engineer. He worked on the Lachine zinc project in Ireland, which is an underground project very similar to what we're seeing at Rupice. Peter Bilby is the chairman of Independence Group, one of Australia's biggest mining companies. Michael Rawlinson was the head of metals and mining for Barclays Bank. Julian Barnes is one of the world's most renowned and respected geologists who helped establish Dundee Precious Metals and knows the region very well. Milos Bosnakovic, a former Yugoslav lawyer who emigrated to Australia during the war, has very, very strong political and community contacts in country and has been instrumental in helping us find our way in a new jurisdiction. And Eric Demore is a specialist in the Australian small cap resources sector. In addition to that, we've got Rob Addett. Bob, everyone's got to have a Bob in their company, has worked with me for many years. He's a very experienced exploration geologist. And when we bought this company and we needed to get drill holes on the ground, it was he and I who donned the boots on, grabbed a couple of chainsaws and went and found those drill collars. So we've put together a really good team for a company that's going to be growing fast, going through exploration into development very, very quickly. I want to quickly talk about Via Vacca, which is the existing open pit project. Mineralisation is there from surface. We have now done enough drilling there to put a JORC resource on the project. It's only small at moderate grade, but in a jurisdiction like Bosnia, where the average wage is about 280 euros a month, that project is economic. The other thing about Bosnia, which people don't recognise, is most of its electricity is generated through hydro, which means it's extremely low cost. Commercial electricity supply rates are typically 6 to 8 cents per kilowatt hour. making it by far the cheapest power market in Europe. We have drilled, in 2017, we drilled 13 holes at Viavacha to get our initial maiden resource. That did not bring in the precious metals because the precious metals hadn't been assayed in all of historical data. We're drilling another 9 holes currently and should finish that in a couple of weeks, and we'll put an updated resource out on Viavacha, which probably won't change the tonnage, but it will change the grade because we'll be incorporating more silver and gold. However, Rupice is what everyone's talking about. It's the reason why I'm here. There was 56 holes drilled at Rupice between 1980 and 1989. The holes that were drilled between 89 and 92, we don't have any data on. We have gone in there to date and drilled another 48 holes. The ore body itself outcrops to the south, and you can visually see the outcrop. But what it does do, as you move further north and to the northeast, is it plunges and it dips. And to date, we have hit some of the highest grade drill holes seen in the last few years, including our most recent hole, which was 72 metres at 44% zinc. We had to stop drilling at Rupice because we hit the northern boundary of our existing licence, but now that we are fully permitted in our new licence areas, we have recommenced drilling on that northern plunge, and we'll be putting drill hole results out in the next few weeks, and those drill hole results will continue throughout the year. It is open to the north, it is open to the southeast. We have just identified a new lens of mineralisation to the southeast, and we are very, very excited about what we're seeing there. Mineralisation typically starts at around 200, 220 metres. However, this could be either an open pit or an underground. Whether it becomes an underground or an open pit will depend on some environmental factors. But Hartley's in Perth have put out their own internal resource estimate for their clients. They came in at 8 million tonnes at 20% zinc equivalent. For the holes that they used in determining that resource, we would think that estimate is probably right. So just to give you an idea of what we're dealing with here, which makes it one of the highest grade polymetallic projects in the world, and we're still working on expanding the tonnage. The barite, and if you don't know what barite is, it's a very dense mineral that's used primarily in the oil exploration industry because it's so dense. It acts as a blowout preventer. Shows up like a sore thumb on gravity. And what we typically see at Rupice is you've almost got 100% barite for 2 or 3 metres above the brecciated mineralisation zone. So it makes exploration for us relatively easy. What we're also doing at the moment is a very deep IP survey, which will identify new drilling targets for us. We have done IP before, but we're using a 30 kVA survey that'll penetrate much deeper, down to 300, 350 metres, and will help us with our exploration this year as well. So Rupice is open and it is growing. The topography there lends itself to drift mining through several portholes, which will make it relatively low cost if we go underground. The thickness of the ore body also lends itself to lower cost mining techniques. We've had some very good structural geologists come in and give us their views of the project and where they think the growth potential will be. And we are drilling it at the moment. We have 3 rigs operating there today. We have 1 rig operating at Viavacha. We're bringing a 5th rig in the next couple of weeks. We'll expand our rigs to 6. And whether we expand them even more depends on my friend, Brestic Jurassic. Brestic Jurassic was an exploration area where the Yugoslavs constructed 2 adits. Now, both of those adits are collapsed. But we found the spoils heap where they took the waste rock and just threw it onto the ground. And we randomly tested those spoils and found extremely high-grade mineralisation in those samples. And I've put them up there for you. The mineralisation at Jurassic Brestic is almost identical to what we are seeing at Rupice North, which is 900 metres away. Rupice's mineralisation footprint now is about 400 metres by 150 metres. We're going to be drilling Jurassic Breastic in the first half of this year. We're going to be doing it off the basis of our new IP survey, which penetrates deeper. If we hit there, we are going to basically drill all the way north, back up to Rupice North. If we continue to hit mineralisation there, it will be a very, very sizable project indeed. So focusing on what we're going to be doing this year, we're going to be drilling like crazy, 20,000 metres in total. Rupice North to the north, Rupice to the southeast, Jurassic Breastic, filling in that corridor between Jurassic Breastic and Rupice. But we're also going to drill on a new area that we acquired late last year to the southwest of Rupice called Botovica, where we've acquired a lot of historical information which would indicate there's potential for another deposit in that area there as well. Our last hole to the southeast of Rupice, which basically is in the same direction as the existing adits at Jurassic Breastic, hit 22 metres at 55% zinc. We know this is a very prolific, high-grade deposit. The question is right now is how big is it? And that's what we're going to find out this year. In addition to the work we're doing in exploration, we're going to be putting updated resource out on Viavacha. We're going to be putting a maiden resource out on Rupice. We've already commenced our long metallurgical test work program, which for polymetallics like ours is very important that you start early. And we're very happy with the initial results that we're seeing there. We've completed our hydrogeological and our geotechnical work. We have recently received approval of our reserves estimates for both Rupice and Viavacha, which is the first major step in the permitting. And we will be submitting our exploitation application in September this year. So 2019 is going to be a massive year for Adriatic Metals. But just to recap, we've done a lot. We've got a lot more to do this year. We've got the management team in place. We're developing our staff aggressively. And we've also got first mover advantage in what is clearly a very proven and prolific mineral belt. Thank you.
Thank you.